The bread is still warm in the ovens. A dog strains against its chain in a courtyard, barking at something in the air. Something wrong. Something the humans haven't noticed yet. In the forum, merchants arrange their wares: oil lamps, fish sauce, wine from Crete. A child drops a toy and cries. Someone laughs. The sun climbs higher. Pompeii is awake. And Pompeii has no idea it has only hours to live. Look at this city. 20,000 souls living their ordinary lives in the shadow of Vesuvius. That mountain, green, serene, covered in vineyards. For generations it has been dormant, so dormant that people have forgotten it's a volcano at all. They call it simply the mountain. They build their villas on its slopes. They praise the fertility of its soil, the sweetness of its grapes. The mountain is beautiful. The mountain is generous. The mountain is a trap. Because beneath those vineyards, beneath that deceptive green calm, magma has been rising for years. Pressure building. The earth breathing in, holding, waiting. And on this August morning, it finally exhales. Around 1 p.m., Vesuvius explodes. Not with lava, not at first. With gas and rock and pumice launching 15 miles into the sky. A column of ash so massive it creates its own weather system. So hot it glows. The sound is beyond comprehension. A roar that can be heard across the bay in Naples, in Misenum, perhaps even farther. The sky turns black at midday, and the stones begin to fall. Imagine it. You're in the street and suddenly the sun disappears. Darkness drops like a curtain. Then, tick, tick, tick. Small rocks hitting the roof, the pavement, your shoulders. Pumice, light as bone, gray and white, falling like deadly snow. At first, people don't run. They stand confused, looking up. What is this? A storm? Then the stones get larger. Panic spreads like fire. People grab their children, their gold, their most precious possessions. They run toward the gates. The pumice is already ankle-deep, knee-deep. The weight of it begins to collapse roofs. Those who stayed inside to shelter are crushed as their homes become tombs. Some flee, some freeze. Some make calculations. Stay or go. The roads out of the city are clogged. Families are separated in the chaos. An elderly man clutches his chest, heart attack perhaps, from terror. A pregnant woman falls. The pumice keeps falling. 4 inches an hour, 6, a foot. And still, this is not the worst of it. For 18 hours, the pumice rains down. Pompeii is buried to the 2nd story, but some survive. Huddled in the upper rooms, breathing through cloth, praying to gods who seem to have abandoned them. They think, if we can just last until it stops, we'll dig our way out. We'll survive this. They don't know what's coming. Around 7 a.m. the next morning, the eruption column collapses. All that matter suspended in the air, millions of tons of gas and ash and stone, comes crashing back down. It creates something Roman witnesses will call pyroclastic surges. We have a more clinical name for them now: pyroclastic flows. Ground-hugging avalanches of superheated gas and volcanic matter traveling at speeds up to 450 miles per hour. Temperature, 500 degrees Celsius, maybe higher. Nothing survives this. The first surge hits Herculaneum, Pompeii's sister city to the west. 300 people are sheltering in boathouses by the beach, waiting for rescue ships that will never come. The surge reaches them in seconds. The heat is so intense it boils their blood, vaporizes their flesh. Their brains literally explode from the pressure. Death is instantaneous, merciful perhaps in its speed. The subsequent surges reach Pompeii. The people who lasted through the night, the survivors, die in an instant. The heat doesn't burn them so much as it fixes them. It locks them in their final moments. A family huddled together, a gladiator still chained in his cell. 2 young women clutching each other. A man covering his face with his hands, as if that could protect him. Their bodies decay over the centuries, leaving cavities in the hardened ash, perfect molds of their final seconds. When archaeologists discover these voids in the 1860s, they pour plaster into them, and the dead return, not as bones, but as people. You can see the folds in their clothing, the expressions on their faces: terror, resignation, protection, a mother curved over her child. These aren't artifacts, they're moments, frozen, eternal. Walk through Pompeii today, and you walk through August 25th, 79 AD. The city is still buried in that morning, Bread still sits in the ovens, carbonized but intact. Graffiti still marks the walls. Gaius was here. Marcus loves Spendusa. Political slogans for an election that will never happen. A bar counter with hollows for wine jars, still in place. Frescoes of gods and gardens, vivid red and gold. Everything stopped. Nothing moved forward. It's eerie. It's profound. It's unbearably human. Because what Pompeii shows us isn't just ancient history. It's the fragility of everything we build, everything we assume will continue. Those people had plans. They were worried about debts, about marriages, about business deals. They were annoyed about traffic in the Forum. They complained about the heat. They didn't know they were living the last day of their world. And here's what haunts me. Neither do we. Not in the same way, perhaps. We have seismologists, warning systems, evacuation plans. We're not helpless before nature's violence the way the Romans were, but we still live in the shadow of mountains, literal and metaphorical, that could erupt at any moment. Climate tipping points, pandemics, systems we trust that are more fragile than they appear. We still make our plans assuming tomorrow will come. Usually it does. Usually the mountain stays quiet. But Pompeii reminds us, usually is not always. There's a plaster cast I can't forget. A dog, the one that was chained in the courtyard. You can see it twisted in agony, trying desperately to break free as the ash rose higher. It couldn't. The chain held. And when the surge came, it died, still trying to escape a danger it couldn't understand. That dog trusted its owners to come back, to free it. They never did. They couldn't. Sometimes there's no rescue. Sometimes the disaster moves too fast, hits too hard. Sometimes the people we trust to save us are drowning themselves. But here's what else Pompeii shows us. Evidence of choice, of dignity in catastrophe. That mother curved over her child. She could have run. Maybe she'd have had a chance. But she stayed. She chose her child over her own life. That's not helplessness. That's love. The gladiator in his cell. Someone left him there, yes, but archaeologists found him with a key nearby. Perhaps a guard fleeing dropped it within his reach. Perhaps he tried. Perhaps in the chaos, even strangers showed mercy. Pompeii is a tragedy, but it's not only a tragedy. It's also a time capsule of the ordinary, of the beautiful, of the mundane made sacred by its sudden ending. Those frescoes on the walls weren't painted for museums. They were home decor. Those streets weren't preserved monuments. They were where people walked to work, to meet lovers, to buy vegetables. The ash transformed the everyday into the eternal. And when we walk those streets now, silent, empty, perfect, we're not just tourists. We're witnesses. We're seeing what those people saw, walking where they walked. We're granted a strange intimacy with the dead. We know their city better than they did, ironically, because we can see it whole, frozen, finished. They lived in it. We study it. They had no idea they were making history. They were just living, until suddenly they weren't. There's no moral here. No lesson about preparedness or hubris or divine judgment. Vesuvius didn't erupt because Pompeii was wicked. It erupted because that's what volcanoes do. The earth doesn't care about our cities, our plans, our lives. It moves according to its own vast, indifferent rhythms. And we build anyway. We love anyway. We make plans anyway. What else can we do? Pompeii isn't a warning. It's a mirror. It shows us ourselves, fragile, brave, ordinary, temporary, building our little worlds in the shadow of mountains, hoping they stay quiet, making art, falling in love, buying bread, complaining about traffic, living as if we have time. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But Pompeii whispers, while you have it, make it matter. Make it beautiful. Love fiercely. Because someday, maybe not today, maybe not in our lifetime, but someday, the mountain wakes up. And when it does, all that will remain of us is what we chose to be in our ordinary moments. The bread we baked, the walls we painted, the people we died protecting. That's what survives. That's what the ash preserves. Not our plans for tomorrow, our actions today. The dog is still barking in Pompeii. The bread is still warm. The child is still crying over a dropped toy. And the mountain is still beautiful, still generous, still waiting.